lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know, we talked about it Monday, Grayson. It became very apparent if you attended the Crimson Combine on Saturday, which I know you didn't, and rightfully so, that Oklahoma needs help at one particular position. Well, the Sooners are seeking out help at that position very early on in this spring transfer portal, and that's where we're going to start on this Thursday afternoon installment of Locked In here on the Ref Sports Radio Network, brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno, family-owned and operated, purveyors of some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the market. The Buicks and GMCs. They also have fantastic service advisors out there, half-price oil changes on Saturdays. They got it all for you out at Dorsey Jones Buick GMC in El Reno. So make the trek out to Western OKC to do business with them. We appreciate their sponsorship of today's program. Grayson, I got to be honest.
What's up?
I think a lot in the mind of the average Oklahoma fan has changed. A lot in the mind of the average Oklahoma fan has shifted as to what is and isn't important ever since the end of the Lincoln Riley era. You go back to December 2021, there were a lot of sentiments that no longer remain the same or anywhere close to it. And I think one of those sentiments surrounds the importance of special teams. Because at the conclusion of the 2021 season, whether Lincoln Riley had stuck around or not, one of the key talking points in evaluating the 2021 season that was that this program does not really take special teams seriously.
Nope.
That was the stigma that Oklahoma carried. They hardly returned kicks in 2021. They were fair catching everything.
Yep.
They hardly returned punts. Gabe Burkich, who was the kicker at the time, was very inconsistent, had a fantastic redshirt freshman season in 2019. Didn't miss a kick. 69 for 69 between field goals and extra point attempts.
Awesome.
Very nice year for him. But 2020 and 2021, Burkich was a lot more inconsistent. Punting was an issue for Oklahoma. That stabilized when Michael Turk got to town in July of 2021 and took over the job from Reeves Munshaw. Talk about a random Sooner there. But in the 3 seasons since, Oklahoma fans have grown increasingly aware that special teams do matter. We're no longer living in the era in which Oklahoma's throwing up 50, 55 points a game and special teams issues aren't really magnified. Certainly now that the Sooners have transitioned to the SEC, little things, little details like that have become magnified. We mentioned the Towns-Magoo game on Monday. It giveth, it taketh away, right? Oklahoma lost a lot of games in 2022 in large part due to poor kicking and poor special teams play. They won a game, one of their 2 SEC wins in 2024, in large part because Towns-Magoo couldn't put a field goal attempt anywhere near the uprights. So, special teams matters. Oklahoma has a designated special teams coach on staff in Doug Deacon, something that was never the case during the Lincoln Riley era. Shane Beamer, while he was here, was somewhat overseeing special teams, but it wasn't an area of concentration for the staff. Certainly is these days. And at the Crimson Combine on Saturday, it became quite evident that OU has a kicker problem.
Again.
The Sooners have redshirt freshman Liam Evans on the roster. I think he's going to be excellent. Was uber reliable just up the road at Moore High School for several years. I believe he kicked, he may even have kicked his freshman year at Moore, but I know he was their guy from sophomore through senior year of high school up at Moore High School and was fantastic. Highly accurate, big leg. That's a guy that you're excited about in the years to come, but evidently there's not quite enough faith that he's ready to seize that gig in 2025 such that Oklahoma felt the need to just hand it to him, or felt the desire to just hand it to him and not feel the need to bring in any competition. That is what they originally did in January with the addition of Kennesaw State transfer Austin Welch, who was given a scholarship, Grayson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That has not been a common theme throughout the Brent Venables era. In fact, I believe at the time he was the first scholarship specialist that Oklahoma had rostered since Michael Turk. Now, however, it appears the Sooners may be on the precipice of bringing in a third kicker because Welch was kicking balls all over the stadium on Saturday, not always between the uprights. And again, you're excited about Evans long-term, but as a redshirt freshman who only has one career kick, a successful extra point to his credit as a collegian, you would like to have a veteran that you feel you can rely on in advance of the 2025 season. Could that be Mason Shipley? Mason Shipley, formerly a Texas State Bobcat, pretty inarguably the top option at kicker in the transfer portal. And as we have been discussing today at OUinsider.com, which is the place to be right now for all the juicy portal intel, Mason Shipley is currently on campus with the University of Oklahoma. This is a young man who is a lifetime 31 of 35 on field goal attempts. He hit from 60 yards at one point last year, Grayson, so he's got range. That not only is a school record, that is a Sun Belt Conference record. Accuracy and power, you got both of them with Mason Shipley. What makes this interesting is that also heavily involved in his portal recruitment is the University of Texas. And there are certainly areas in the recent past where Texas has done a better job than the University of Oklahoma, or they have had position groups that are superior to that of the University of Oklahoma. One of those is certainly kicker. Texas, over the last decade and a half, has had some very strong specialists come through. Justin Tucker, who by many accounts, in most assessments, is the greatest kicker to ever grace the football field at the NFL level. He was a Longhorn. Texas, but before things kind of went sideways this past year with Bert Auburn. Bert Auburn was a very reliable kicker there for a couple years at Texas.
Cameron Dicker.
Everybody remembers Cam Dicker hitting the 40-yarder to beat Oklahoma in 2018. He had a fantastic career at Texas. And so that's been an area of strength for the Longhorns during a period where it's been a very conspicuous weakness for Oklahoma. If the Sooners were to land Mason Shipley, that would be great for obvious reasons. But I think it certainly enhances the importance of this particular portal recruitment, Grayson, that the alternative, if you don't land him, seems to be that he will be suiting up for your fiercest rival.
Well, that's fun, isn't it? That's a great way to start off our show talking about kickers. I'm pretty sure that's happened on one hand. We can probably count. Look, they got to do something about that, about the kicker spot, because too many times in the SEC, things come down to special teams, or something can be traced back to special teams. I mean, there's 3 handfuls of games within the conference every year that you can do that with. Also, you brought up you brought up, I think, the best point, which is where I was going to go. Oklahoma is no longer bombing teams, putting up 50 points a night. When you do that, you can offset some special teams mishaps because you're just going to keep scoring touchdowns and keep scoring touchdowns. That is no longer the case and should not be the expectation in the SEC right now. So you're going to need to shore up that spot. And look, I think it will come into play in terms of, your coaching staff's job status in 2026. I think if you get this right, you've got a much better chance of this staff returning. If you get it wrong, and you have to roll with whoever you've got right now, that might cost you a game or two. It may not be on the last second, but again, it may be something you can trace back to that could cost people their job. So that is how consequential getting a quality kicker in tow is right now for Oklahoma. God forbid he goes to Texas and plays a pivotal role in winning Red River next year.
Glenn from Nashville brings up a good point on the text line. Former Oklahoma State Cowboy Mason Shipley? Yes.
I didn't even know this.
Yes. You two would have overlapped as undergrads.
We probably would have.
He spent a year, the 2020 season, as a matter of fact, as an Oklahoma State Cowboy before transferring to Texas State.
Who was the kicker that year for Oklahoma? Was that Alex Hale? That might have been before him.
I don't know. Oklahoma State had some bad kickers at that time.
They had some bad kickers when I was there, yes. It was not great until about my senior year.
So Mason Shipley, yes, former Oklahoma State Cowboy, longtime Texas State Bobcat. He will have 1 year of eligibility remaining. And so this presents an interesting predicament for Austin Welch, right?
Yeah.
Because if you successfully land Mason Shipley, and if the Sooners don't land Mason Shipley, make no mistake, they will just move on down the line and look for another kicker. They're going to bring another guy in. At this point, if you're Austin Welch, you got to be thinking, man, really? I came here, and now odds are I'm not even going to see the field this fall? You have to wonder if Welch is on his way out due to this development. Mason Shipley is a 1-year rental. He would only have 1 year of eligibility left.
Yep.
Austin Welch has only 1 year of eligibility left. So could one of Jim Nagy's first instances of processing come with the rare scholarship kicker?
But I will say this. How bad does it look for Oklahoma that you brought a kicker in from Kennesaw State, number one,
Yeah.
put him on scholarship, and then he doesn't even make it to the fall?
Yeah, look,
That's not the greatest look.
for one thing, bringing in a guy like that felt it reeked of desperation in the first
yes.
place.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh, well, our options are limited. We better go grab a guy while we can. But then the fact that not only is that the guy, but you gave him a scholarship too?
That's the kicker. No pun intended.
Okay. For real, Jacob Ulrich, I think, the punter from Kennesaw State, he's actually legitimately worth a scholarship if you look at what he did at Kennesaw during his time there. That dude's got a big leg. He is worth it. And as Oklahoma fans have learned over the last few years with Turk and Luke Elzinga, with the 6-game Josh Plaster stint sandwiched in between, what the Josh Plaster stint sandwiched between Turk and Elzinga demonstrated to you is that you would also like to have a punter that can do a half-decent job. And that's probably worth a scholarship, especially because Oklahoma right now is actively preparing for the roster expansion. Well, if you want to call it expansion or call it contraction, I suppose it's a little bit of both, and we've talked about this. Whereas it used to be that you could roster 85 scholarship players, 120 in total, thereby allowing room for up to 35 walk-ons. The new norm in college football will be 105 players, all of whom can be scholarship pickups. So, you can afford to spend one of 105 scholarships on a punter. You can afford to spend one of 105 scholarships on a kicker. Could this be a one-for-one replacement where Oklahoma tells Austin Welch, hey, thanks but no thanks, we got an upgrade coming in? It could very well be. But again, I go back to it, Grayson. If the Sooners land Mason Shipley, and they would love to have Mason Shipley for obvious reasons, this is the top option in the transfer portal, and it's really not close. Almost 90% conversion rate throughout his college career. But even if they don't land him, they're still going to go pursue a guy. Then, however, the problem becomes if it's not Mason Shipley, the guys that are in the portal at that position, generally speaking, are far less reliable when you look at available options.
And that's where I was just going with that. And this is a really, really good text from Michael and Marlowe. If I'm Welch, I'm not leaving on my own decision.
Where else are you getting a scholarship at kicker? Well, yeah, you'd be surprised.
And quite frankly, to that point, though, Yeah, if I'm Welsh, I'm not leaving. Because guess what? If you don't get Shipley, how much better than Welsh are the other portal kickers? I mean, I think that's a reasonable question to ask, especially from his perspective. I wouldn't let Oklahoma off the hook for this one.
I would just hope that there's a portal kicker out there not named Shipley that is superior to the guy that we saw Saturday at the Crimson Combine, because that guy was all over the yard.
It wasn't great
with those attempts.
It was not good.
Joe in Tulsa says, can't they pull the kicker's scholarship from Kennesaw State? It was smart. If so, they locked a guy up while they still shopped and checked out how good he was in the spring. Yeah, and I mean, at that point, if you do succeed in bringing in Mason Shipley, then I guess you really didn't lose a whole heck of a lot with the Austin Welch experiment. Brought him in. He wasn't that great. You upgraded. Moving right along. If you don't land Shipley, that's where things kind of start to get dicey. It's really going to be a fun piece of bar trivia a decade from now when you can walk up to somebody and ask them, you remember who the very first Sooner to earn SEC weekly awards was? And the correct answer is going to be Tyler Keltner.
Yeah.
Who is SEC Special Teams Player of the Week after he hit 3 field goals, including a 50-yarder, in Oklahoma's 16-12 win over Houston.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was at the game.
And then for the rest of the year, man, it was an adventure between Keltner and the Schmidt Show. Zach Schmidt.
The Schmidt Show. Well done by you.
Get a good kicker. That's the lesson that has been emphasized over and over and over again if you've watched the last 3 years of Oklahoma football. Get a good kicker, pay for a good kicker, and certainly in this case, do not let said kicker walk to Texas.
I mean, dude, kickers can bail you out of so much. Quarterback takes a bad sack, you got a kicker that can knock it in from 53, you got points. Having a good kicker, man, is so important, especially in a league like the SEC.
It's one of those things that doesn't seem important until it is, right? And you're staring down the barrel at 4th and 12 in a crucial situation from the 30-yard line. And there are certain programs that have a guy that they'd absolutely trust beyond a shadow of a doubt to hit from 48 in that circumstance. And there are programs that would be shaking in their collective boots at what the outcome is going to be.
And kicking in college is so sporadic.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your top of the line, and then after that, it's a crapshoot. I mean, having a good kicker is like an insurance policy.
Gunny of Stutzman Army says, we can't let a kid named Shipley go to Austin. I'm sure that would come back to bite us in the arse. What's funny here is that, and to my knowledge, there is no relation to Jordan and Jackson Shipley. But what's funny is Oklahoma has actually recruited Mason Shipley's twin brother, Matthew, who is also a kicker and spent the first few years of his collegiate career at the University of Hawaii. He got in the portal last spring, or maybe it was last winter, and Oklahoma tried to acquire him. They were unsuccessful in doing so. He wound up at the University of Arkansas. But the Sooners have now recruited both Shipley brothers. Hopefully you can go 1 for 2. Hopefully. So like I said, if you don't land Mason Shipley, the rest of the options that are out there right now in the portal seem far less reliable. Okay, keep firing away on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Great interaction thus far with all of you. We'll keep talking OU football and recruiting on the other side after this opening timeout. Keep it right here. You're listening to the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Are you looking to elevate your golf game in 2025? Westwood Golf Course in Norman can help. Now's the time to get your annual memberships, and they're open 7 days a week. The 50th annual Westwood Invitational is July 4th, 5th, and 6th, so be sure to register early this year. Play after 2 p.m. for just $28 or after 5 p.m. for just $23. You can always book your tee time at westwoodparkgolf.com, and don't forget to visit the Turn Grill inside Westwood, one of the local gyms in Norman.
Tired of your current living situation? Now is the best time to make a move. Interest rates are dropping and Home Creations is offering the best financing around with rates as low as 3.625%. This will save you hundreds per month on your brand new Home Creations home. Live like a champion today by calling Holly at 405-364-9999 for full details.
364-9999 Home Creations.
APR 6.508%.
The Artesian Hotel Casino and Spa in Sulphur is the perfect getaway, nestled within a community rich in history. Stay in our luxurious hotel or treat yourself to our world-class spa facilities. Enjoy fine dining in our restaurant or try your luck in the casino. The shops at the Artesian offer upscale boutiques with a wide array of items to choose from. We have something for everyone. Plan your getaway on the Artesian website or call for details at 855-455-5255. The Artesian Hotel Casino and Spa, 1001 West 1st Street, Sulphur, Oklahoma.
No matter what a strong future looks like to you, you can start building it with a home equity line of credit from Armstrong Bank. There's no time like the present to take advantage of your home equity. From home renovations to wedding expenses, vacations to new cars, the future is yours with a HELOC from Armstrong Bank. Visit armstrong.bank/HELOC to get started. Armstrong Bank. Strength runs in our family. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
For the professional, it's not enough to just possess knowledge. That's why at GMC, we seek to refine it, to wield its power, to redefine its boundaries, while pushing the limits. And we put this knowledge to the test in every GMC Sierra by engineering each one to outperform your expectations. So you know you're getting precision and durability when you need it most. And that's what makes the GMC Sierra the truck worth knowing. We are professional grade. See your Oklahoma GMC dealers.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
It is locked in here on the ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. What are we doing here? I opened up Twitter, and the very first tweet I see is from San Antonio Spurs guard Jeremy Sohan.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I saw this one.
And it says, Gooners, it's time to assemble. No context provided.
You should have seen.
What?
You should have seen my response to my best friend when he sent me that.
Gooners, it's time to assemble. Okay, Jeremy.
Jeremy Sohan is a strange dude.
He's the guy that has like the rainbow hair, right?
Yeah,
from time to time.
Which you would think Greg Popovich would not let another guy that wears number 10 with colored hair play for him again. You look like you don't remember the first.
Number 10, colored hair. Should I?
Dennis Rodman?
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's I forget Popovich was the coach all the way back when, man. He has been around forever.
Or did you forget Dennis Rodman played for the Spurs at one point in time?
No, I definitely remembered that. I had forgotten that Popovich was actually the one that – it's been darn near 30 years, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Close to it. Oh, here's a fun little connection on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. This 402 listener says, Parker, I played baseball for Wahoo and graduated in 2018. Who did you play for? I played for Concordia High School. I probably struck you out. I remember pitching against Wahoo my junior year. We had this kid that was a year older than me, so he was a senior at that time. Could not hit the broadside of a barn. Threw really hard, close to 90 miles an hour, which by Nebraska standards, that's pretty dang hard. Could not hit the broadside of the barn. I mean, my goodness, man. He would miss by the wildest of margins. Half his pitches would go to the backstop. And so I can't remember why we started him that day, but we started him that day. He walked the bases full, actually walked in a couple of – I think he started off the game with like 4 or 5 straight walks in the first inning. Ended up recording 2 outs mercifully somehow, I can't recall how, before getting the hook. So I came in with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the first inning. Wahoo, as I recall, was number 5 in the state in Class B at the time. Got a strikeout to get out of the inning, and then wound up going 5 1/3. 4 hits, 1 run, 6 or 7 strikeouts. It was a great start. I can't remember why it's seared into my brain like that. Maybe because it was like we knew Wahoo was really good. We ended up winning 7-5. 7-5. So yeah, if you were on that squad, I probably struck you out that day. One little 402 connection.
4-star Evan from Blanchard. I'll assemble should we sign a serviceable kicker. And Chris from Knoxville with a little context. Arsenal supporters go by the Gooners.
Arsenal FC? See, okay.
Which I don't know if Jeremy Sohan is an Arsenal fan.
Par for the course.
But if he's...
Of course, a soccer club fan base would call themselves the Gooners.
I guess Gooners means something different on the other side of the pond than it does here in America.
We had, here's my thing. I think about this from time to time. English has got to be an infuriating second language to learn.
Absolutely.
Like, if you are not a native English speaker and you are forced to learn English, it has got to be a maddening language to learn because there is so much slang. There is so much slang that you have to learn to just be able to converse normally with Americans. The amount of stuff that we say that just kind of works its way into the vernacular for no apparent reason.
And how frequently it changes, too.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's very, very easy to say something you don't. I mean, we do it all the time on these airwaves.
I mean, we have to
say one thing, and then we're like, wait, pause.
I mean, how many things have we had to teach Steely? Including this word here.
Gooning was one of them, yes.
Including that.
Let's go back to the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line and talk some actual football. 405-651-3439. A 405 listener asks, how much does the lack of kicking consistency fall on Doug Deacon's shoulders? Well, Doug Deacon has been here a year. I refuse to hold him responsible for any and all kicking issues that Oklahoma may have experienced in 2024 because we all kind of knew what we were getting into going into the season, and Doug Deacon didn't ask for that. He just kind of got thrown into that. Jay Nunez preceded him. You can lay blame at the feet of Jay Nunez, certainly, but you also got to keep in mind the guy who's recruiting special teams in the past, certainly, but like before Jim Nagy arrived, he didn't have scholarships to offer, and there wasn't a whole lot of money that they were doling out to specialists. And so that limited your options even further. Going into 2024, here's what we knew about the kicker room that Jay Nunez had assembled and handed off to Doug Deacon. It consisted of a career 76% guy in Zach Schmidt and a career 74% guy in Tyler Keltner. Expectations were very low.
Do you think this is a grave that, based on the context you just gave, this is a grave that Oklahoma has dug itself into?
Yes. I mean, they've put themselves behind the 8 ball here, and you would hope and expect that now that Nagy is in town, things like special teams are treated with greater emphasis. I think Jacob Ulrich was a really good addition at punter. Oklahoma kind of lucked into Luke Elzinga.
Yeah.
He was a guy that chose to come here. He was not on scholarship. We tell a story in the office all the time of when he showed up to the office to do an on-air interview via our partnership with One Oklahoma. And, of course, the safeties and the defensive linemen and the skill position guys, whenever they come to do their interviews, they're pulling up in a Mercedes or they're pulling up in a Beamer. They're pulling up in a nice car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Luke Elzinga shows up in a beat-up truck because he's a punter, and punters don't get paid, right? But Luke Elzinga showed up as a walk-on, beat out Josh Plaster, or I should say he didn't beat him out initially. I don't know how, but got the job midseason in 2023, played really good ball for Oklahoma for the next year and a half. I think Jacob Ulrich is somebody that's going to step right into Elzinga's shoes and continue to punt the football admirably for the Sooners. But the kicking game has to improve. It has been an area of weakness for Oklahoma since the year 2019. 2019 was the last time Oklahoma had somebody that they could count on. That's because, again, Gabe Burkich did not miss a kick all year. 2020, he became a lot more erratic. That was certainly replicated in 2021. And then ever since, it's been Zach Schmidt. It was 2 years of Zach Schmidt in 22 and 23, and then it was a weird committee between Keltner and Zach Schmidt in 2024. You'd love to have Mason Shipley if you're an Oklahoma football fan, because that provides stability at a position where there has not been stability in quite a while. And once again, when you are playing in the SEC, you cannot afford to have a so-so kicker. You cannot afford to have a kicker that you fear sending out for any field goal attempt beyond 35 yards. Because that's how it was last year, Grayson.
Yeah, it was a coin flip if it was going to be close.
Like, oh, there goes Zach Schmidt out for a 40-yard field goal. Hang on to your butts.
Sooner Dave 78. It's time to make special teams special again. And that's true. I mean, Oklahoma has seemed, based on the fact that they don't dole out a whole lot of scholarships to special teams, and they don't put even any kind. I'm not advocating to spend exorbitant amounts of dollars on a kicker. That's stupid. But if you're not doling out anything, really, and you're not opening up, at least having the availability of scholarships for specialists, that shows what kind of a priority, what kind of value you see special teams in. And a couple times in these last few years, that has come back to bite them in the you-know-what.
Zach from Guthrie says, whole show about kicker, low content day, huh? Yeah, listen, Zach, specialists are people too. Specialists are people too. And also, like, outside of that right now, there's not a whole lot of percolating activity in the portal for Oklahoma. Like, they're keeping in contact with guys. They're putting feelers out, but it didn't feel like Oklahoma has really put the full court press on anybody. I know people have been asking all day about Tanner Koziel, the transfer tight end from Wisconsin. We discussed that earlier in the week. I'll bring it back up because evidently, just based on what I'm seeing on the text line, there were some people that didn't hear that initial conversation. Oklahoma is not pursuing Tanner Koziel. At least not right away. If he's still on the market a week from now and the pickings are really, really slim, then okay, perhaps. But as I understand it, he is at the University of Houston for a visit today, and he's probably going to wind up there. The reason Oklahoma's not that interested is because he was at Wisconsin for 4 months, and apparently that transition from Ball State, that transition from MAC football to P4 football in the Big Ten at Wisconsin was a lot more than Tanner Koziel expected. And he was just not prepared physically and mentally for it. And so does that sound like a guy that you want to toss into the tight end room at Oklahoma, given what you already have? Probably not, because just another guy. And right now, the tight end room appears to be full of dudes that are just a guy.
Dudes.
Uh-huh. If you're going to go grab a tight end, you'd like to have some indication that said tight end is going to be a true difference maker, and that's not Tanner Koziel. I think Houston makes a lot of sense because it's not too big time for him.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, go play in the Big 12, and I mean that it's wild to me how a 6'7", 237 guy can't physically make the transition to Wisconsin. or the demands were not what he expected them to be. How are you not used to those demands? How did you get 6'7", 237, and to a point where you were just shy of 1,000 yards at Ball State? I mean, it's still Ball State, and you're still a couple yards shy of 1,000. Like, that means something. How do you get to that point without putting yourself through some demands? That, to me, that's an interesting contrast.
A 405 listener asks, who are the corners you've heard about as targeting? I have not heard a whole lot on that front, and I'm frankly a little bit surprised by that. I'd have figured we'd know a little something by now about whom Oklahoma is targeting at cornerback, but there hasn't been a whole lot of noise made in that regard. So we'll see what the next few days bring. The great thing about the spring portal window is that it's a full week and a half. So if we don't know today, we don't know tomorrow, we'll probably know by the time we come back on air Monday. At that point, it's time for the rubber to meet the road, if it hasn't already. That 402 listener that apparently I played against in baseball says, I probably snagged a base or two on you. Not on me, baby.
Oh,
I'm a lefty.
Were you slow to home?
No, man. I'm a lefty, and I was quick to home.
Okay.
I slide stepped.
Okay.
Slide step. Didn't even bother with a leg kick. Because, you play Class B baseball in Nebraska, your catchers don't have the greatest arms.
Oh, you were Class
in
B.
Every case.
Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, so in Nebraska, it's not like it is down here where you have 6A, 5A. It's just Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D1 and D2, which you get down to Class C or anything lower, you're dealing with like 8-man football.
Okay.
But we were Class B. We were a pretty good Class B baseball program. But yeah, no, I slide stepped. I made every effort to get the ball as quick or to the plate as quickly as possible because depending on who was catching, you just couldn't always rely on your catcher to throw somebody out of second base.
So the dude probably snagged a bag or two.
No, I don't think so. I remember who was catching for me that day. My good buddy Jackson Cummins. He had a rocket. Yeah, ain't nobody stealing a base on him. We're good. There were no bases stolen that day to my recollection. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Again, 405-651-3439. We'll be back with more OU portal and recruiting talk on the other side. Keep it right here on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hey, Sooner fans, this is Jaron Kanik, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Boys to Men, April 18th. America, April 26th. Patti LaBelle, May 2nd. And Scotty McCreery, May 10th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and the home of Sooner Diamond Sports this spring. From Patty's squad in search of another natty.
Lift it deep to left field. No way. No way. Lose your mind, Sooner Nation.
And Skip Sooner's sight set on Omaha.
Throw to first and you can ring it up. 6-4-3.
The Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner baseball take on the Missouri Tigers in Columbia this Thursday at 7, Friday at 6, and Saturday at 2. And Sunday, catch softball against Mississippi State at 1.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
At Confidence Ford of Norman, we believe in living up to our name. Our commitment to confidence is in everything we do. Whether you're searching for the perfect vehicle from our extensive selection of new Ford models or pre-owned cars, our dedicated team will help you every step of the way. Because with us, you're family. We're conveniently located at 825 North Interstate Drive, Confidence Ford of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership where confidence is Cavender.
Spring is heating up at Coach's Corner in Norman, and we're bringing the fun all week long. Don't miss a single pitch with MLB Extra Innings. Every Major League game right here. And mark your calendars, April 19th is our big Easter basket giveaway, plus an epic Easter egg hunt to follow. Thursdays, karaoke from 7 to 10, then college night until 2 a.m. And Soul Food Saturdays and Sundays are bringing the flavor all weekend long. Get ready for Sunday Fun Day with movie nights, live concerts, and yes, water balloon fights. At Lindsay and Barry, Coach's Corner, where every day's game day. Schumacher Law Group, when experience matters. Tracy Schumacher is a former prosecutor and former district judge. Whether it's a probate challenge, criminal charges, or contentious divorce proceedings, experience matters. The attorneys at Schumacher Law Group provide compassionate, knowledgeable advice, all while fighting for your best interests. Find Schumacher Law Group online at lawgroupok.com or call 405-701-1882. Hometown lawyers ready to fight for you when experience matters.
Dear hero, whoever you are, you save lives. I live with sickle cell and the pain and the issues that come along with sickle cell every day. I'm most grateful that people are willing to go out there and take their time, their blood, and give me new life. Because of you, I'm allowed to see my son grow up.
Giving equals living. Give blood. Replenish the supply. Learn more at hhs.gov/giveblood. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Talking OU football and recruiting with you here on Locked In. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. You're listening to The Ref. Or the Ref app, as the case may be. Glenn from Nashville on the text line as we dive back in here. Says, might the apparent lack of interest thus far in a transfer corner say something about how the Sooners feel about Gentry Williams' health and some of the younger corners? I do think there's something to that, Glenn. I think you're on the right track. Cortland Guillory had a fantastic spring. A fantastic spring. Now, that's also true of Malik Hawkins, but as I understand it, he's going to play more of that nickel cheetah spot than he will outside corner, at least initially. So I'll tell you, one of the things we tend to forget, and for good reason, I think, is that Kendall Dolby can play a pretty mean outside corner. And I wonder if you see Kendall Dolby at outside corner more in 2025 than you have the last couple of years. He was primarily playing outside corner when he showed up to Oklahoma, and that's what he played in JUCO. But then, well, come to find out, this dude is a really nasty cheetah. And he just kind of seized that role as the season progressed in 2023 and obviously wound up starting there in 2024. Be that as it may, though, he still can play outside corner and play it well. So I wonder if now that you have Kendall Daniels, now that you have a year older version of Reggie Powers, now that you have rising junior Sammy Omasigo who can play that cheetah position and has played it pretty well in the past, does that open up some opportunities for Kendall Dolby to get back involved at outside corner? That is something I'd keep an eye out for as well. But Cortland Guillory, you're going to see that dude this fall. I don't know how much when all is said and done. I think that's dependent on what he does with his early opportunities, because I think he'll certainly get some in non-con. But you're going to see Cortland Guillory in the mix. No doubt in my mind about that. By the way, saw this tweet come across my feed just a moment ago. It's from PFF, Pro Football Focus.
Love them.
New Oklahoma offensive lineman Jake Michaela since 2023. 702 pass block snaps, 3 sacks allowed.
That works.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
You know, I had a thought earlier today, and I think I'm going to pose this to Ted probably in the 4 o'clock hour. Maybe in the 3 o'clock hour on the rush. It'll be me and Ted today. Is center going to be the biggest fall camp battle? in the fall, come fall camp. I mean, you look at that. I mean, Jake Michaela could push Troy Everett for that spot.
He could. And I guess in order to frame that conversation properly, we have to break down which positions on offense really aren't going to be the subject of stiff competition in camp. I think Jake Sexton has a firm handle on the left tackle job.
I would agree.
I think at this point, Derek Simmons has a firm handle on the right tackle job. Obviously, Fabechi Wiwu is your right guard. No real question about that. Left guard, I think there will be a battle there. Primarily between Heath Ozaida and Eddie Pierre-Louis. At center, of course, as you mentioned, Troy Everett, Jake Michaela, could be either one. You know who your quarterback is. You know who your running back is. Wide receiver, I guess it depends on how quickly you get Giovanni Gibson back because he's going to start when he gets back.
Right.
At wideout. The only other receiver that I would say you can confidently project into the starting lineup would be Deion Burks.
Yes.
The other two are up for grabs, and tight end is certainly up for grabs. So I would say 5 of the 11 positions on the offensive side of the ball, you're going to have some legit competition in camp as to who is starting there.
And I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Given the positions that are up for grabs, your quarterback's going to be settled and your 2 tackles are settled. You're off to a really good start right there. I think you've done 70% of the work right there, the fact that you've got that. Running back, to me, it's not going to be who is RB1 in name. That's going to be the point of contention. How they're used and how the snaps and how the touches are going to be divided up. That's going to be a story, I think, the entire season. Now with the addition of Jaden Knott. I think Cheetah, if you want to flip it to the rest of the team, Cheetah's going to be interesting. Obviously, you would think Kendall Dolby's going to be the number 1 Cheetah, but because of the versatility and, we'll see what happens in fall camp, who knows who's going to push him for that spot.
I'll tell you, talking to Wes Goodwin after the Crimson Combine on Saturday, Wes Goodwin loves him some Kendall Daniels.
And Kendall Daniels he's the X factor in all of this because Kendall Daniels, be it he's not great in coverage. From what I've seen, I just don't think he's great in coverage, at least as a safety. It's hard to keep that dude off. It's hard to keep 6'4", 240 and can fly around in closed space off the field. I don't see how he's not a starter. I don't know how they're going to make room for him to be a starter, but I don't see how Kendall Daniels is not a starter.
4-star Evan from Blanchard says, tight end coach battle, Joe John versus a doornail. Come on now. Let's be nice, Evan. The show, of course, brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. Just want to remind you folks of that, family-owned and operated out there in El Reno. Check them out. Check out their fantastic Buicks and GMCs, the reliability that comes with them, as well as their half-price oil changes on Saturdays. I bring that up a lot because it's a pretty freaking solid deal if you know how expensive an oil change is these days. Here's another thing I wanted to bring up, Grayson, and this does not have to do with OU, but it is a very pertinent topic right now across college football, and that is the continued bizarreness of the Nico saga. And here's what I want to bring up in that regard. Bruce Feldman, obviously very credible college football reporter on the national spectrum, yesterday reported that per a source, Nico Iamaleava is expected to transfer to UCLA. And you see that and you figure, okay, well, there you go. Bruce Feldman bringing it home with the conclusive report. In the nearly 24 hours since, here's what I have not seen. I have not seen some of the more active national portal reporters on the scene, Matt Zenitz, Pete Nakos, etc., confirm that to any degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not seen UCLA announce the signing of Nico Iamaleava.
Mm-hmm.
So it begs the question, what is going on there?
I think he will end up at UCLA. I do think that's going to be the end result. I think they're still working through language of contracts or whatever is going to dictate what he's going to make. I think they're still working through that. Obviously, the family has been a pain in the behind to communicate with. a pain in the behind to deal with. So maybe there's that. But I do think the end result is going to be Nico Iamaleava will be a Bruin come the 2025 season.
Can I offer a conspiracy theory here?
Please.
My conspiracy theory is that Feldman's source was someone in Iamaleava's camp who wanted that out to create pressure on UCLA to acquiesce to the Iamaleava family's financial demands. Because if it gets out there that Nico Iamaleava is expected to transfer to UCLA, and then for whatever reason it falls through, UCLA fans are pissed because they had 5-star quarterback. Now they do not have 5-star quarterback. What went wrong? And so in my mind, it could very well be the case that that was planted by somebody on the Nico side of things that wanted to make absolutely certain UCLA took an extra measure of proactivity in finalizing the terms of that deal and maybe became a little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
Because now it's a bad look on them if it doesn't come together.
Look, when things get out, they get out because somebody wanted it out.
Correct.
Nothing gets leaked like that on accident. So I think that is, you may not be correct, but it's more than a conspiracy theory for that. And if so, by the way, that might be the first net positive thing that Nico's camp has done in this entire debacle. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It wouldn't be the most outlandish thing in the world to tell somebody. If they were the ones that informed Bruce Feldman or Colin Cowherd, I don't know who Colin spoke to, but somebody told him something because somebody wanted that something out.
And here's the other side of it, which it's very clear that the way that Iamaleava's camp has been operating throughout this entire saga, they're very short-sighted in the way that they've been doing business and conducting business.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the other side of that if that is the case, if my conspiracy theory is true, here's what you haven't thought about. How poorly does that reflect on you if it doesn't come together?
Can their look get any worse at this point?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, it can.
I guess.
Here's how it gets worse. Oh, everybody thought you were going to UCLA, and now you're going to San Diego State?
Okay, fair point.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's worse. I'm just very intrigued by that whole situation. Again, mindful of the fact that it's just the Feldman report out there.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has confirmed it, and the school has not announced it.
That's a good pull by you. A texter in the 918, you really think these dumbasses are that smart? Good question. Sooner Bump says, PT, have a good Easter with family and safe travels, buddies. I guess he doesn't want me to travel safe back to Dallas.
He's got all of tomorrow to wish you the same.
Okay, fair point.
Mm-hmm. You'll be around. I won't be.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. Somebody in the 405 said, there are no UCLA fans to be pissed. Adam from ATX says, how is it a positive to lie about signing with UCLA? Well, it's not explicitly a lie. And this happens commonly in the business, and Grayson alluded to it, like you put something out in order to put some pressure on the other party in the negotiation process. And that would be the type of thing that does that. Because, look, expected to transfer and actually transferring are not one and the same.
Yeah, you gotta read the verbiage.
If you put it out or you want it put out that, oh, Nico's expected to transfer to UCLA, then again, creates pressure on UCLA to make the deal work if you're in the midst of active negotiations, but all of a sudden it's out there that this is expected to come together. Kyle from Salisaw says, Grayson, don't forget the orange turtleneck for Easter. Be safe, buddy.
I don't wear orange. I only wear dark colored turtlenecks. I do not have an orange turtleneck. You will never see me wearing an orange turtleneck.
Really?
No. No. I've got like black, navy blue, maroon. I do have a white one, but outside of white, it's just dark colors.
I don't think I have anything orange in my wardrobe.
See, that's the thing. I don't even wear orange. I have one orange quarter zip.
That's a poke saying that, folks. That's how you know.
Yeah, no, I don't like the color
orange.
No, I don't like the color orange.
That's how you know that orange is just not a color that should be worn on the body. Orange is good for traffic cones and not much else. All right, folks. We're done on today's installment of Locked In. Tap back in tomorrow. It'll be Tyler McComas and Grayson covering this hour.
It will not be.
Locked In. Who will it be?
It'll be me and Josh.
Oh, you and Josh.
Yes.
Grayson Singleton and Josh Helmer on Locked In here tomorrow. Same time, same place. Don't go anywhere. Keep it tapped in right here on the Ref, because coming up next, Grayson and Teddy Lehman have you for the next 3 hours on The Rush. Take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.